I'm looking pretty good. Looking good, feeling good. You know what I'm saying? Look at that. This is me. Right? Anyway. Alright, let me slightly adjust my pillow for it. Alright, okay. Alright, so, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez decided to go on her Instagram, which I do not have, so I could not watch the live stream, but there were clips posted on Twitter, and I've got a couple of them open, and we can watch, but this seems to be the one that's going to be the most, like, viral moment or whatever. I hate to use that terminology in this, context, but, this is the world we live in, so we gotta get used to that language, I suppose. But either way, so this is AOC describing the moment she thought she was going to die. And it's I watched about like maybe 20-30 seconds of it. And it's a 2-minute clip, so we'll watch the full thing. And, brace for impact.
Like, I'm here, and the bathroom door starts going like this. Like, the bathroom door's behind me, or rather in front of me, and I'm like this, and the door hinges right here. And I just hear, "Where is she? Where is she?" And this was the moment where I thought everything was over. And the weird thing about moments like these is that you lose all sense of time. In retrospect, maybe it was 4 seconds, maybe it was 5 seconds, maybe it was 10 seconds, maybe it was 1 second, I don't know. It felt like my brain was able to have so many thoughts in that moment, between these screams and these yells of, "Where is she? Where is she?" And so I go down and I thought I was going to die. And I had a lot of thoughts. You have a lot of thoughts, I think, when you're in a situation like that. And like also one of those thoughts that I had was, I just happened to, be a spiritual person and be raised in that context. And I really just felt like, if this is the plan for me, then people will be able to take it from here. I had a lot of thoughts, but that was the thought that I had about you all. I felt that if this was the journey that my life was taking, that I felt that things were going to be okay.
So yeah. If anyone's ever been in a situation that's extremely high stress, this, I think, resonates. At least it resonates with me. I've been in high stress situations. And again, like, there are these moments where, like, I think I'm going to die, and then, like, you have that whole life flash before your eyes, kind of like, you start, like, thinking, like, what's gonna happen? Like, what's gonna happen after I die? Like, that kind of scenario. And, again, it really, you have to understand the, like, capital insurrection attempt, really, like, again, like, for whatever reason, the media just pretends it's over. They don't care about it anymore. You even see all these people in, like, the left media space, and I'm going to go into that later, just pretend, oh, it's no big deal. Oh, whatever. Sure, whatever. A bunch of crazy people with guns and zip ties wanted to kill other lawmakers and AOC. Whatever. Like, I just covered this clip of Glenn Greenwald, like, 2 days ago, saying that AOC is a, like, whiny baby and she needs to get over it. Right? And it's like, a lot of people in this world have never been in high stress situations. They have been maybe in moderately stressful situations. Like for example, dealing with like losing my house when I was a kid. That was a very like moderately stressful situation. As in to say it was very stressful, but it wasn't it wasn't like impending doom literally right now situation. Whereas like if you are in a situation where you are 100% convinced that someone is going to kill you, that is a very high stress situation. And that really just affects the way your brain functions on an intrinsic level. I've been in very high stress situations. I've had people whom I thought were going to kill me try to hurt me. I've had people whom I thought were going to kill me. I've had SWAT officers point guns at me and threaten to kill me. I've had individuals who, I don't want to go too far into it, but I've had individuals try to kill me with like glass and other sort of situations. And you think it's like one wrong move and my entire life is over. And I've been in that situation. But not a lot of people have. Now, a lot of people just think, I've been stressed before, it's no big deal. You know what I mean? But for anybody, this is like a human level. You have to understand, AOC is not like she's not like a big wig like person in a suit. She was like a moderately like normal person that got involved in politics. So you have to understand, this is her perspective. She wasn't like groomed to be a politician her whole life, that kind of scenario. She's a relatively normal person. And sure, yes, she's been in politics for what, like 3-4 years now. That doesn't change the fact that she's a relatively normal person. And so, for example, like a lot of people seeing her talk about this, they might not know really at all what it's like to be in these high stress situations. And so, it's just one of those things that it's like, it's just horrifying. And again, there's all these people out there, that are just downplaying it. Oh, it's no big deal. Get over it. You didn't actually get hurt. Like, for example, I've had people, like, literally charge me with glass shards and try to kill me. And the only reason I'm still alive is because I managed to get out of the way. Right? Without a bruise. I managed to evacuate that situation without a bruise. Right? Not a scratch on me. But if I didn't evacuate that situation, I would be dead. I would not be here right now. And I've been in other situations that are not nearly as scary as that one. But, like, my point here is, you don't need to be bruised in order to almost die. Like, someone, like, if they point a gun at you and shoot, but you somehow manage to dodge, that doesn't mean you didn't, like, almost die. Okay, sure, you dodged a bullet in this hypothetical sense, and you're not bruised, but someone still shot at you and attempted to kill you. So, like, there's a lot of people that are saying, like, like Glenn Greenwald, freak show, carnival barker, dumb fuck motherfucker, psychopathic shit for brains asshole, is going out there saying, oh, she's fine. She didn't get hurt, so she's okay. Meanwhile, Glenn Greenwald is in an armored compound. I don't want to talk about him too much. But I've got some other clips here that I saw, and I just want to play these other snippets from the same Instagram Live.
I'm a survivor of sexual assault. And I haven't told many people that in my life. But when we go through trauma compounds on each other. I'm a survivor of...
So, that's another extremely important statement to, to get out into the world. Again, she is in a position where she is able to explain these things that happen to a lot of people in front of millions of people. And I've been sexually assaulted. Have people try to kill me, right? And it's like, for example, right, I've been sexually assaulted, and then several months later, I moved to a new location. And so I'm at a point where it's like, okay, I'm in a new location, right? I've had people, like, just, like, try, like, harass me, right? I've had people, like, try to stop me or try to, like, talk to me in unwarranted situations. I've had people follow me. When I still lived in DC, I had people try to follow me home from the metro before, and I had to like weasel my way around my own neighborhood to like try to lose lose them. I've had people do that here in North Carolina, right? And it's every single time that happens, it's like, oh no, is this the time that it's like I somehow managed to not escape them? Is this the time where somehow like, and that gets worse and worse and worse and worse as it goes on. And so there's another clip here that I wanted to play.
This past week, Ted Cruz and now Representatives Chip Roy and, oh, by the way, some of the other representatives who actually encouraged people to threaten members of Congress or tweeted out the location of the speaker are now telling me to apologize for saying and speaking truth to what happened. These are the tactics of abusers. Or rather, these are the tactics that abusers use. And so when I see this happen, how I feel and how I felt was not again. I'm not going to let this happen again. I'm not going to let it happen to me again. I'm not going to let it happen to the other people who've been victimized by this situation again. And I'm not going to let this happen to our country. This past week.
And so this is the same stuff that I was saying earlier when AOC tweeted out at Ted Cruz, like, you just tried to have me killed 3 weeks ago. And I got a lot of, well, not a lot, but I got a certain amount of pushback from certain people that it's like, why don't they just work together? That's their job. Like, again, Glenn Greenwald has been doing this shit, right? And it's like, you really, like, you don't understand how quick people forget things. Like, especially when we're in this scenario where we've got a 24-hour news cycle, there's always something new happening at all times. People forget things really quickly. Oh, there's a new president. Why should we impeach the old president? There's a new one. We're in a new era. No, we're not. No, we're not. It's been less than a month since these dumb motherfuckers had guns and zip ties and fucking Kevlar vests and fucking, like, Punisher logos and fucking white supremacist militias run through the fucking halls of Congress trying to kill lawmakers. Right? That was less than a month ago. And you've already got half of the fucking country saying, oh, let bygones be bygones. We need to unite. We need to unify. And it's like, what? What? And again, that's the same thing that abusers do. Like, it's literally the same thing. I mean, they will beat the shit out of you and then say, you can't tell anyone. You gotta forgive me. We gotta work together. I'll be better next time, I promise. And then there is no next time. Right? And then this is another thing. If you don't hold these people accountable now for the actions that they did, they're going to feel the room to do it again. I mean, this is like a sequential like thing over the last 40, 50 years in this country. And you can even go back further. Like, you can go back to when slavery was abolished, right? That's why the KKK formed, to enforce, segregation outside of slavery. So if, certain black people were getting too uppity in their minds, they would go and kill them as a way of suppressing other people from being able to be free. As even if the Constitution says you are a free citizen, the citizenry involved said, nope, not on my watch, right? And that continues all the way up until this point, where you have these same grandchildren of the KKK, right, of slave patrols, going inside the Capitol, attempting to kill lawmakers, particularly women of color in the Democratic Party, right? And then you just have the media go like, oh, what's next? What are we going to talk about next? And then you've got even people that, again, they claim to be left-wing, like Glenn Greenwald claims to be left-wing. He's not. As far as I'm concerned, he's a neocon. As far as I'm concerned, like, what's the difference between him and someone like John Bolton? Honestly, and I mean that sincerely. Like, the difference is they just want to inflict pain and suffering on different classes of people. That's really the difference there. The innate problems and the brokenness of their brains are the same. They dislike certain people for arbitrary reasons, and they want to inflict pain and suffering on those people for arbitrary reasons. Right? And their mission is to inflict pain and suffering on certain people that they dislike for arbitrary reasons. That is their mission. So they're really, like, it's a psychopathy of the brain that, you know, creates a situation where, yes, the grandchildren of slave patrols and slave owners and the KKK try to storm the Capitol and kill women of color in the Democratic Party, right? Water under the bridge. That's going to just let them, then they're going to want to do it again. Again, the Michigan thing that happened earlier in 2020, where they tried to kidnap the governor, and then everyone just forgot about it, oops, whatever. If say, all the people that were involved in that were held to account, and it was a national news story for like 2 months, I don't think January 6th would have happened. At least not in the way that it did. Right? But again, you give these people enough room, and they're going to say, all right, maybe I'll push it a little bit more. Maybe I'll push it a little bit more. Maybe instead of invading a state capital, I'll invade the country's capital. Maybe instead of invading the country's capital with zip ties, I'll invade the country's capital with like a fucking bomb, you know? They could have. They tried to. By the grace of God, they were unable to. But seriously, this is a huge problem. And there's so many people out there that claim to be right-wing, that claim to be left-wing, that claim to be radical centrist, that claim to be above it all, right? And they're not. They're just pieces of garbage that are selfish, and they want to inflict pain and suffering on people for arbitrary reasons because of political disagreements. That's really what it boils down to. They do not care about their fellow human, plain and simple. So if you watch this content from AOC, if you watch any of these clips and you come out of this going like, oh, she's rude and evil and dumb, I'm sorry, I've got news for you. You need a therapist. Not only do you need a therapist, but I think that you should probably not be allowed to participate in society, right? I don't want to go to a grocery store and have to see you there because I don't want to be around you. You are garbage. If you want to be an individualist and you don't like other people doing things, right? And if you think that when people speak out against abuse is a bad thing, then go live on an island somewhere. You don't need to be a part of society. If you're going to be a net detriment to society, then get the fuck out. Right? That's my opinion on that shit. And again, it's very powerful statements, and AOC is in a position where she is a relatively normal person and she's able to explain things really well, and she's in a position where millions of people get the message. And that's like, there's not many people in that position. She might be like one of the only people, if not the only person in that position, where she's like, again, relatively normal, is in a position where you have millions of people, and she's able to tell stories and explain things with extreme detail and poignancy. She might be a one-of-a-kind individual given her situation, right? And so if you're going after her because of arbitrary garbage, I'm sorry, shut the fuck up, get the fuck out, like unplug your internet and go be a lumberjack somewhere like Dexter in the fucking season finale, series finale. Like seriously, I'm tired of this shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so, and it gets worse. It gets like, there's so, like, it gets worse. It's ridiculous.